We are now live. Okay. So they had, in the instructions, they had promptings of they want us to discuss. And so it says, let me read this real quick. It says the discussion needs to be 50 to 60 minutes. Must be recorded. We've got that down, so it's being recorded right now. Okay, and that says assign a moderator to guide the discussion and keep the conversation on track. It may also be helpful to have a group member serve as a timer and keep you informed about the use of your time. Do you guys care of doing that at all? Either of those? Do you think we need them? Or like, do you just kind of want me to read the questions to you since they're in front of me?
Yeah, well, I don't know. You can be the director of the conversation, you know, if you want.
Okay. And then it says names of individuals should not be disclosed and personal stories should only be shared with discretion. Okay, so make sure you make comments, provide thoughtful, friendly feedback. So let's be nice to each other, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so it says ensure every group member takes about 5 to 10 minutes each to address these following questions. So we can do either we could each take a turn to go through all the questions, each person, or like we go through one question each and then the next question each. How would you guys prefer to do it?
Whatever works best for everyone.
What?
I don't have any preference. One right now, like.
Okay, what about you, Lauren? Do you have a preference?
I don't. I'm just trying to think which way would be best, but.
Yeah, I wonder if, because it says, you know, taking about 5 to 10 minutes each to address them all, would it be easier to, like, keep track of that time if we all, like, took our own turn to do all the questions and then the next person does all the questions? Would that be easier? Or would we be able to discuss things a little bit easier by breaking it up one thing at a time, which might actually help take up more time? Maybe we should do it that way, one question at a time?
Yeah. That might be better.
I basically like just talk myself into an answer there. Okay. Well, the first one, it says briefly share some points of the interview. It says don't disclose the names, but talk about who you talked to, their child or children, what you found out, etc. So who wants to go first about
I can go first if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my first, she's my friend, the girl who I was interviewing. She's in Peru actually right now. She has a kid, like male boy. He's 2 years and 9 months. And she was, apparently I was tracking her life, you know, through Facebook, but after that I was talking with her because I know her because she went to my war in Peru, so she was telling me about some of the problems that her kid has, for example, about when their kid was like the teeth was popping out to him. He has problems because my friend, she used to let her baby to sleep with his bottle all night. It's kind of like I was like, "Ooh, okay," but she was like she liked to do that because you know he was like she would feel more calm and he was sleeping better. So just she let him to stay with the bottle. So with the time, this habit developed in the baby has her tooth was decayed. Make sense? And then I don't know how to say this. Like the thing is that I translate the questions in Spanish and ask to her, and then I was like, okay, it was like, but in Spanish it's called like caries and like cavities. The kid has cavities now, and it's a problem for her because now she take more often to to her kids to the dentist because this problem. Well, suddenly with the time she mentioned to me that the problem is because her kid has like a problem with the genetics, so have a genetic influence. This is why her kid is more, it has the tendency to has cavities in her teeth and his teeth than the other kids. Because I think some babies used to sleep with pacifiers, right? Like with that the small thing that they're suck, 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 suck. So yeah, so this is. I need to cover the first and second, and third question, or just in general. That's okay.
Just that one right now.
Okay.
So, but she didn't have that same genetic thing?
Well, she mentioned that her kid is the one who has the problem. I don't think so. She has a problem though, because it's kind of like she told me it's kind of like weird because she didn't have that problem before. So yeah.
Okay. But it's through her though? Is it through her or is it through the baby's dad?
I think it's most like the baby's dad because the coincidence is that when I was preparing to go on my mission, I was babysitting. She has her husband, and her husband has a sister who has a baby. I was babysitting that baby, so I understand that the baby has the same problems too. So I think it's for the father's side. Because I have this relationship that I go like I was babysitting the other like for her husband's side. I was babysitting all the other babies. So yeah, I think they have the same. They have some correlation.
Okay. Lauren, do you have any questions for her so far?
I don't.
Okay.
I couldn't. My computer's being a little slow, so I couldn't get to the mic.
Oh, that's okay. Do you want to go next? Do you want to answer yours for that first one? Do you want me to read it again?
I have it up here, so I can just.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So I talked to my sister. She has 4 children. She has a boy who's 11, a boy who's 8, a boy who's almost 4, and a girl who's 16 months. She said that all of her children are and were very different in their walking, talking, and teething. She just talked about their differences and how all of them walked and ran very early. 2 out of the 3 spoke late. All 3 potty trained late. Half of them grew teeth early. Half of them grew teeth late. And then all of her children, how they walked pretty early, around 9 to 10 months. And then by the time they were 1, they were very active runners. Let's see what else on my notes. Only one of the 3 talked early, and he spoke very well at a young age and spoke his mind a lot. And the other 2 didn't talk until they were over 3. And with her 16-month, it's too young to tell for her. And then talking about the teething, she said half of her children grew teeth at early normal months and half of them came in late. Yeah, so they were all just a little different. Let's see. And then in one of the questions, we talked about if a child had, I'm just trying to read it. Do you have a child who has an actual diagnosed condition that's going on? My sister told me about one of her sons, and this would be the 8-year-old boy, and she said that he hasn't been officially diagnosed, but her husband, his dad, is a medical provider, a physician's assistant, and they think that he has a mild form of ADHD. So that was interesting to talk to her about, and she said that they didn't figure it out until this year, but it hasn't negatively affected his performance in school, which is good. But he is challenged often at home with his behavior. Once they figured it out, that was able to explain his behavior for them, and let me just see what she said here. We used to get baffled at why he would react the way he would and not know what made him tick, but now we have more compassion and education about ADHD. Let's see, she says another thing about it. We try to give him some tools and motivation to help him be accountable for his behavior. This will help us to help him in the future as he struggles and deals with it. Like I said, it isn't affecting his grades, but he does struggle with sitting still and doing things he does not want to do and being impulsive. Yeah. So I guess any questions?
Your nephews, they have the mild EHD. Oh my gosh, I have problems with the problem that this specific nephew has. It was like being a pattern that it happened with all children, with all of her children, or just with one.
It was just that one.
Oh, just that one. How old is he?
He's 8.
Oh, he's 8. Okay.
Yeah. Which does explain it, because I do remember being around them a little bit, and he was a little more rowdier and wouldn't sit still, so it kind of makes sense, but like hasn't been like officially diagnosed yet, so I wonder if they'll maybe take him somewhere to see.
Yeah, oh, that was interesting.
Thank you.
So while you were talking, Tina emailed saying it wasn't working, so I asked for her Gmail, and she just gave it to me, and I just invited her, so she should be joining us soon.
Oh, nice.
Okay, good.
In case it looked like I was super distracted while you're talking, it's because I saw her email, and so I was like trying to get that all set up for her. So sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Can you quickly tell me what were you saying he has ADHD or something? What does he have?
Yeah,
ADHD?
Yeah, that's what they suspect.
Okay, so he's just like very can't really stay calm for a while.
Yeah, he's kind of all over the place, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions I have. I figured we could, whenever Tina joins, just quickly summarize what we've said so far to her, to tell her what kind of child we're talking about and the developmental stuff. Just like a real quick summary for her so she knows what we're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, she's joining.
Yay.
Hi, Tina. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, good. We're glad you're able to join us. We're really worried. What we've done so far is we were in the middle of answering just that first prompt question that was in the instructions, and only 2 of us have talked about who we interviewed and what child or children they were talking about so far. So we'll just let them tell you what they've said so far.
Okay.
Iris, do you want to go first?
Okay. Sure. I was thinking about my friend's dance, who has problems with his teeth. My friend told me that it was a genetic disorder or something like that. That this is why her kid has like cavities so early, because he is 2 years and 9 months, and he used to sleep with his bottle all the time and with their pacifiers and all the stuff. So she told me that right now that her baby is having like difficulties with her teeth, with his teeth. So it was pretty much though. I was doing some research and I find out that cavities are no they are not passing genetically because it's a bacterial infection. So probably it's because maybe it could be though. I was doing some research and I was maybe could be in the fixation, of the calcium. Maybe the kid has like didn't have too much like the fixation of the calcium that he has to have. But cavities are originated for bacteria, so probably maybe in the like the care of like like cleaning well the pacifiers or like like having like their teeth closed, like really disinfected and all the stuff. So doing like a routine, a cleaning routine more often maybe for them. So that I was talking about that. Hello, can you hear me here?
I'm
Do you have
here.
any questions?
Well, the child's kind of old to be on a bottle still in pacifier, so that might be a problem with the cavities too.
Yeah, I think maybe the cleaning factor wasn't really well, or maybe in the way that she cleaning the bottles of the elements the kid like used to, because when her teeth was coming up, they used to like and they start like chewing things and all the stuff. Maybe it wasn't like really well, so that makes the infection get worse with time. It's exactly what happened to us. If you don't brush your teeth when you go to bed, uh, in the long term you're going to end up with cavities and maybe like root canals and all the stuff. It happened to me. After my mission, it happened to me. I was so careful before I went to my mission, and then when I returned from my mission, I ended with 2 root canals and I think more in that. So it's like when you don't really have too much care, in the way that you clean the stuff, or the things that you put in your teeth, or with cleaning, it could drive to a serious infection for bacteria.
Yeah, it's difficult with missions because you can't go get checkups while you're gone. I went on one too, so
Oh, nice. Yeah.
yeah. So we're on the first question.
Yes.
Okay. The lady that I did, she has 3 children, and her children just the oldest one. They all kind of developed at the same rates, but the youngest was like quick to do everything because she saw what her brothers were doing. So that there was really not very many differences in them, except for that she was quicker because she had them to model her behavior after. So the family I picked, the kids were fairly well adjusted and easygoing. So she said there wasn't very many difficulties.
So none of them have disabilities then? They're all, or at least not that have been found.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I also did, well, I ended up interviewing my husband because it said don't do your parents, but it didn't say don't do your spouse over your children. So I ended up doing that.
I did a friend of mine, her kids, so.
Yeah, so I just, so far, I mean, the oldest one's only 2, so we haven't, like, found any disabilities or anything yet, so I'm just like, yay. I'm not the only one
That you have a lot of experience, with your own kids. I think it is, even though it's like a better way to get like a direct information, because you are actually like you were part of the process. So yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I interview my friend because suddenly I realized that the only people that I have available was my friend, and she's her first child, so yeah.
Oh, and Lauren, do you want to tell Tina what you said too when you did yours?
Yeah, so I interviewed my sister, and she has 4 kids, ranging from 11 to 16 months, and in their development, they were all different in how early and how late they walked and talked and teethed. And then we did talk about one of my nephews, and how they believe he has a mild form of ADHD. Um, yeah, that's just a little some of mine.
Do you have any questions for her, Tina?
No, not really.
Okay, then
How
I'll
old
share.
is the one that she thinks might have ADHD?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, did you say that one of her kids might suffer from ADHD?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering how old that child is.
He is 8, and they haven't. So, his dad, he is a physician's assistant, so he's a medical provider, so he knows a bit about it, and he says that he's fairly sure that he has a mild case of it, and they said they haven't really discovered it till this year. So.
Yeah, my son had a mild case of it. He didn't have the hyperactivity with it. He just had the attention deficit with it, and he's kind of he still has a little bit of problem. He's in his 20s now. He's on a mission, but he just has a little bit of problems with attention now. So he just learned how to deal with it.
Yeah, this little boy does. I know that he struggles with sitting still, and he's impulsive, and sometimes has a hard time staying focused.
I have a question. Lauren, this is the only kid. I mean, like, he has another brothers that they're like 7 years old or 6 years old, and they have the same gender or different gender.
I'm sorry. What's your question?
I'm just wondering if your nephew, the one that we're talking, he has brothers or sisters that they are around the same age, or he's the youngest one, you know?
Yeah, there's an older brother who's 11, a younger brother who's 4, and then a sister who's a little over a year.
Okay. So he will play with the kid of 11 years old, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I think maybe your nephew could start in relation with what Tina said about her the person who she interviewed. Maybe it's because he's trying to go in page with his older brother, you know? Maybe that would be like the connection with his mild HCD, but I'm not a doctor, so it's just my point of view.
No, I can see that. That's interesting.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share mine too real quick. So yeah, it was basically about my daughter, my 2-year-old. So she, let's see. We thought she was starting to teeth early with her because it was like around 3 months, but then the first tooth didn't actually pop through until she was like 6 months. It was like one tooth right after another. But with her walking, we thought she was going to be walking like around 9 or 10 months, but it wasn't until like right after she turned a year old. So we thought she was not necessarily slow, but like on the slower end from like a lot of the other children her age, at least. Well, compared to him and I was like 10 months, and he was like around 9 months too. So she was slower than us. We feel like she's also kind of advanced in a few areas. Like she could count to 10 by the time she was 2, and could help us sing solfege, do, re, mi, and stuff like that, and could identify a lot of letters from the alphabet. But so we felt like she was advanced to some areas, like compared to the other children that we've known right now her age. But she never really sat until after she started walking, because she always wanted to move, and so like she would never sit still. Like either she never really practiced sitting normally, like unsupported, because as soon as we would put her down, she'd like immediately move because she wanted to start crawling or something. So we thought that was weird that she never really sat until she was walked. Let's see. So far, her younger sister, I mean, she's only 3 months old, but she already seems a little bit ahead than her sister was in a few of the areas, like already sitting unsupported a few weeks ago. And so that was like a month before her sister and stuff like that. But obviously she's too young for school, and we haven't seen anything that... I mean, I know that my mom is wondering if my daughter might have ADHD, but she's only 2. I mean, this is also part of their age, because she seriously is just like always running around. She can't sit still all the time unless it's something that's interesting, but that's also that age group. But that's something that we're kind of going to be watching for when she's older. And another thing that we're watching for with our children is bad eyesight, because I have really bad eyesight. And luckily, the 2-year-old doesn't. She seems to do really well, but the youngest one is, we have yet to tell. But yeah, so we don't really see anything except maybe something to look for, like watch for when she's older, is maybe signs for ADHD if it like continues when she's older, and that it's not just like this is her age kind of thing. So
yeah, you really can't tell it too. I mean,
yeah.
They're always, it doesn't matter who they are, they're always all over the place.
Exactly.
That's the way they learn and grow and develop. So that's something you would probably be able to figure out when she starts like first grade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by then they should be able to sit in a chair for a good amount of time. And even kindergarten, they're still kind of wanting to be, they don't want to sit still. You know, they have a very short attention span, but once they hit first grade, they should be able to sit in a chair for a good amount of time. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a daycare provider, so I deal with this kind of stuff all the time with the parents.
I see, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I wouldn't worry about your daughter too much. Two-year-olds, I worry more about the 2-year-olds that sit and don't want to do anything.
Yeah. I think another reason why, like, I'm kind of keeping it in mind, because when my mom first suggested that, and I actually looked up signs, and they're like, obviously, you know, like, you can't tell until they're like around 5 or something, because they actually have ADHD. But then when they were like describing signs and how it's not just like hyperactive, but like it could just be attention span in general, like you could be like daydreaming all the time and just not being able to focus. And that was me growing up. I realized I had ADHD and it was never diagnosed. When I was reading everything, like that was me, that was me, that was me, that was me. So I'm like, oh, why I have this like cancer on? I mean, yeah. So that's just, but obviously, yeah. Luckily, I've got it a few years before I can really start like, okay, does she have this? But it's something that I'm going to be keeping on the back burner until then. Does anyone have any questions for me? Awesome. Okay.
Like, no, really. Actually, I think your presentation was really clear. So.
Okay, good. All right, then I guess we're ready to move on to the next question.
Okay.
This should be a little bit shorter than what we've been doing. So it's just after doing this interview, what is your sense of normal? Like, what does normal mean to you now after doing this interview?
Normal to me would be a child that just functions, functions well, gets along with other children, has a good relationship with their peers, plus gets along with their parents. I mean, there's a lot out there, but the children that I watched and I interviewed the parent, they were pretty cohesive with each other. So I watched them together and so forth, and they seem to be pretty I don't even like to use the word normal when it comes to kids and child development, but I would classify them as being pretty normal.
Okay. Well, I think for the I'm just used to call by his name, but I think I have to avoid that today. But he well was he according with his man, he is really like sweet. He's like, you know, kind of like normal, except for the problems that he has in his teeth. I don't think this is a problem, but he likes to eat a lot, like a lot. He's a little bit chubby, so I think he is normal for his age. Like I don't feel that there was nothing wrong with him. I mean, and his development, just this is the only thing that his mom highlight, but everything's good.
I think my idea of when people say, "Oh, that's normal," they're usually just saying that's average for someone of their age group. So it's like that's how I see it as normal. It's like not necessarily like perfect, but like average. You know, like most people their age will act like that or do that or be like that kind of thing. So that's what I think when I see when I think of normal. Because everyone tends to have, usually there's something, you know, that, you know, sets them apart from others. It could be a disability or it could just be something that is a stumbling block in how they learn or something like that. But they're still, like, normal because they're average in most areas as the rest of the children in the area, like the average group of people, like, certain amount, not everyone, but like a big enough amount. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I get that, and my definition kind of went along the lines of yours, and also like what Tina said about just that they're functioning well and average and like most kids their age. Because yeah, obviously you'll tell if something's not right, but yeah.
Okay. Are we good with this question? Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay. Did you find that the parents were often the last to know if there was a delay or problem with their child? How did they become aware of it? And did you get a sense of whether or not they were receptive to receiving services about it?
I think it depends on the parents. You know, some parents are very open to wanting to know if there's a problem. You know, some parents take the good with the bad, and they want to fix whatever's going on. And if they can't fix it, they want to do what they can to help their child. But then there's those that are like, I don't know what the word would be, in denial. Mm-hmm. They know there's something wrong, but they don't want to accept it. And even if you approach them in a sensitive way, they can still overreact. So you just kind of got to handle it with kindness. That's what I do in my line of work anyways, because it's hard. They both have to work, and in some cases just one parent, and if there's problems, the ones that are insensitive don't want to deal with it, and the ones that are like guilt-ridden, they want to go overboard. And it's just, you just got to know the person, and knowing the person, then you can deal with how to approach them on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this is right, because I remember when I was I was interviewing my friend. I was asking for his kid and her kid. I'm sorry, I just have confusing his and her. But I was asking for her kid, and she was like, "Yeah, he is good," and da 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 da. And I was like, "Oh yeah, well, that's good," and da da da. And when we were talking about, I asked her if she noticed something like not normal in his teeth, and his crawling, or in his walking, if he was late or not. She was when she mentioned to me this problem about his cavities. he was like really quickly highlighting that she told me that the doctor told her that it was like a DNA disease or something like that, like something have with the genetics. And I was like, okay, well, at the beginning I believe her, you know, but then I was thinking and doing the research, and I was like, yeah, it's a bacterial problem. So I was thinking that sometimes parents try to, you know, they try to do their best because there's no manual to be a parent. But sometimes where there's like, you know, kids has like problems with like cavities, or you know, maybe they have like,
I'm online live.
you know, and they try to block it, you know, say, oh yeah, but it's not my fault. I try to do my best that I can, but it's not my fault, or it's the fault of someone else, or this disease, or something condition. But sometimes it could be that way. Like the parents try to protect themselves, you know, even though they love their kid, but they have to admit that sometimes there are some mistakes in the way that they treat their kids.
Yeah. I know that with me, when my mom first suggested, I think she might have ADHD, and I was immediately like, well, first off, I was like, well, she's too little, but then I also was thinking, like, I didn't like the idea of that. Like, I don't like the idea of, like, I didn't want to have to accept, like, I know it's, like, obviously not something that's right now, but, like, the idea of it in the future, like, if she was diagnosed with it, like, no parent really likes the idea of their child having some kind of, you know, hardship like that. You know, no one wants to, like, really accept that there's, you know, something a little different with your child and stuff like that, even though it's not that big of a deal. But it's, I'm not surprised that there's probably lots of parents that kind of feel that way at first when they're suggested it, like maybe it's been suggested by people in passing, and they're like, oh, no way, not my child, kind of thing. No, this is normal. This has got to be normal, or something like that. Or they're the exception. No one really wants to accept that their child could have that issue, you know?
And actually, Brenna, when I was in my mission, I had the opportunity, maybe this is like to have the mission memories now, but when I was in my mission, I met a sister. She has children who has like problems. You know, she has a little bit of Down syndrome. She was like really, really in her position that she has to treat her child normal, because with the time, because she's treated as a normal kid, she will go kind of like in the pace, you know. And this sister, she can like supply the kid with all kind of like didactic material, helping learning and all the stuff. And I just think like she has a kind of like a deniation, like she is denying the like reality, what was the truth, and kind of like forcing her kid to go with the normal pace with normal kids. It's kind of like denying and making worse the problem, because you know, if we think about the children has frustration too, because when you do something and something is not going well and you trying, but you cannot cope the need or the thing that they, you know, send it to you to do, it will become some frustration or something worse, you know.
Yeah.
My way.
Something else that came to mind was the parents who might actually find, you know, they do find out and they might actually accept that there might be something different with their child, but they don't really look for resources because they don't want to have to deal with it. They don't want to have to put into, you know, they're like, oh, it's not that bad. I don't think we need help. And
yeah.
But then, like, so they don't really accept any kind of services, but it kind of doesn't really leave the child better off because of that. I mean, I'm not saying I know anyone who's done that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are a lot of people who do that because kind of laziness.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know somebody who has a child that has Down syndrome, and she's been very slow to get him any help, and it's difficult for me. So, because I'm not the parent, so. You know, I can't say I'd know how I would react, but I know that my middle child, when he was having problems in school, I know how I acted. I was right on it. You know, I didn't react, I was proactive. So, you know, but not everybody's like that. And some of that's my education, you know. So, I mean, I have a degree in child development already, so it's hard to talk to somebody who doesn't have that knowledge, you know, especially if they're not like kind of get on it and get it done kind of person, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I know what you mean, though. A lot of people are in denial.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mainly like it will be about the information, like how informed as a parent as you are, you know, because if you don't have information, you cannot notice something and like out of common, you know. It's happening with your kid or with whatever situation is. Like if you don't have the knowledge, you cannot notice things. Information is actually, I think, the first way to prevent or help a kid who has problems, like you know, disabilities or whatever situation is.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Next question. Yeah, we're in the next question.
Lauren, were you able to give your answer yet?
So, like, yeah, like with my sister, like she's been aware of her son, like through the years, you know, how he's acted. And they actually thought that his older brother, the oldest son, that he had ADHD when he was younger, but he was just a normal little kid. He had a lot of energy, but as he grew older, he grew out of it. But with this other son, they've noticed that he hasn't grown out of it. So, through the years, they have been aware, and I can tell that they've been accepting of it. They've been doing their homework, and I'm sure soon they'll probably take him to a professional just besides her husband, and hopefully try to help him out a little bit.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to the next question?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, this kind of goes along with it. Did you get a sense that parents were uncomfortable or had a sense of denial, shame, embarrassment related to their child's special needs? Or did they feel a sense of resolution or acceptance and had a long-term plan for dealing with their child's needs?
I'll just talk about my sister real quick. So I can tell that she isn't embarrassed and she wasn't uncomfortable talking about the son with ADHD. She understands that he is who he is, and I remember having a conversation with her in the past about how he has been a more difficult child for her, but she mentioned how she knows that he was sent to their family for a reason, and she said that he is helping her learn patience. So she knows, even though it's hard, Heavenly Father sent him to their family for a reason. So she seemed to be accepting of it and definitely caring about his needs and getting him help.
I think that the vision, like the knowledge that we have through the gospel, we can help us to manage in a better way these kind of situations. Because as Lauren say, like her sister, like in viewing, you know, like Heavenly Father sent me this kid for a reason, or he will maybe teach something. It will help us actually to help the kid and to see the situation with better eyes, you know, more like positive eyes than just like, oh, my kid has a problem and we're going to, you know, feel ashamed of that or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Since it doesn't really apply to who I interviewed, but like I myself growing up had hit a couple of learning curves that I was kind of diagnosed throughout years. Like I had a processing issue, I had a speech impediment, and stuff like that. And every time, you know, the school, you know, for my mom or my mom figured it out, and Also, the fact that I had really bad eyesight, and my parents didn't find out till I was like 10 years old because I just never gave them hints, I guess, until then. But they never felt embarrassed or anything like, oh gosh, my daughter's got problems, she's got issues and stuff like that. Like she just felt ashamed of herself for not catching it earlier and not being able to give me the help earlier because my grades had gone down in school and stuff like that. And she's like, I could have helped you in this area. We could have helped you be better sooner and stuff. It was just more like guilt is what she felt. Guilt for not being able to know sooner and be able to help me from like the start. That and I'm sure that's what a lot of parents will feel with their children, especially if it takes them, if they're not the ones who are able to identify, especially if it's later on in the years. I'm pretty sure guilt's a huge part of it, more so than probably than embarrassment. I don't know, but I also feel like if it's a more normal thing, like more normal, like if it happens more commonly, like but isn't a huge deal like ADHD and stuff like that, then probably, you know, it's a lot easier to accept and not like make a huge deal out of it. If it was something like some kind of
where is it at?
Mental, there's a new term for it.
What do you got?
Like some kind of mental retardation kind of thing, like parents struggle a lot more with that, I've noticed.
Yeah, that would be difficult.
Yeah.
But we also have to remember that the children we're given, we're never promised that they're going to be perfect. We're promised that it'll be worth it. And that
Great point.
even, you know, we're all sent here to perfect ourselves, and children that are sent here with problems like disabilities, they accepted that. You know, they just wanted to be here. So that's what I do when I'm dealing with the children that I take care of. That I always remember that they're special and their Heavenly Father sent them. And even though they're not my children, I feel that every child that comes in my front door was put there for me. So, I mean, they come back to see me. You know, I've raised a lot of them for their moms, and they come back now as adults in college and tell me thank you. So, you know, it's just we have to be there for them no matter what the circumstance. And I try to do that when I'm teaching the parents, if they're having difficulties, that they just need to appreciate the little spirits that they are and try to cope and work with what they've been given. So that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think as I said before, like having the gospel in our life really help us to, you know, take situations and like to recognize that one of our kids has problems or something like that. That help us to have like a better picture of what is the purpose of this life and this earth and why we are here for.
Mm-hmm.
You were the one playing with.
Did we all answer this?
I think so.
You need to find it.
Lauren, you were the first one who answered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was first.
Yeah. Okay, I remember now. Okay, so let's see. Basically,
Look.
the last thing is, well, at the end we'll have to summarize, basically do a quick little summary of what we discussed, but before that we got this last question, and it's, what can you learn from this experience about normative variation, maturational delay, transient disorders, or persistent impairments? Like, did you see any themes or patterns occurring in your discussion and findings in your respective interviews? Kind of difficult question.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Okay. Sorry, it's also kind of noisy over here.
English is my second language, so I can like sometimes I try. People have to tell me things twice or 3 times to understand. So.
Okay, so it says, what can you learn from this experience about normative variation, maturational delay, transient disorders, or persistent impairments, like different types of...
Thank you for helping me.
disabilities, basically. Did you see any themes or patterns occurring in your discussion and findings about your respective interviews? Your interview, basically. That one makes sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense that like no child is the same, and they're all different and mature and grow and develop differently.
I
Yeah.
think that according with Lauren, with her opinion about like every child is different, I think I will add to that answer about the factors that children has to face in the daily life, because sometimes these kind of factors, for example, if sometimes if the parents are like take care of their kids, or if they're not, or if the parents are supplying or are like given the enough attention to their kids in order to help them to develop. I think the factors, external factors, besides just only the genetical genetical trash that with everyone has to do a lot with the correct or like a normal or common development of a kid. The nurture, the nurture factors are really important in development of our kids more than geneticals. I think that both has to do something. They both are really important, but I think factors, external factors, will help better a kid or will given a worse condition actually.
I think what I would say I learned from this was, first off, kind of like what Lauren was saying, each, situation, they're unique, each child. And I would also add that, there might be some disabilities that are harder for families to deal with than others, but they are still all hard. They're all difficult. They've all got their, their struggles, because it's something that you need, the families need to work on together, and they really should use any kind of resources that are there to help them and to help the child be able to succeed as much as they can, and that will help them in as much as possible, So that's what I got from this.
Yeah, I pretty much got the same thing. And the children that I observed as I was interviewing the mom, they had similarities, being siblings, but they were also different and unique in their own ways. And I think that's something everybody needs to appreciate, that all children are different. But my experience was that it was a good experience. It's always different seeing it from somebody else's point of view other than your own as a mom. If you're on the outside looking in, there's a different perspective. So, but overall, it was a good experience for me.
I agree. I liked being able to, even though it was, I wasn't able to, interview someone else, I still felt like I learned a lot from this assignment.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So should we just quickly summarize what we've discussed? I don't really know how to. Basically we discussed, each person and their child/children that we were interviewing them about. Do you think we should say again who it was and the child that it was each, or do you think that's too much for a summary?
Well, I think we went over all the questions, and we learned from what each other did. So what are we supposed to do? Just submit the interview to the class, or are we supposed to combine something, or?
So it says on here, when I went to the, at the bottom of the Ponder Improve folder, right above evaluation, it's on the directions for the Google HOA at session parent thing. That was a fun. Sorry. It says on here, after your group has participated in the discussion, post a link to your recorded discussion by clicking on the new thread, because I've been recording this, so I'll have to stop recording it at some point, and then you click on new thread, so I'll have to do it because I'm the one recording it. And then each participating group member's name should be listed in the submission, so I could try to do the link as well as write everyone's name in the thing. And then we need to make sure to evaluate each other in our contributions.
All right.
I really hope I don't botch this. This should be simple, so I shouldn't.
I'm sure you got this.
I'm going to stop the broadcast now.